Hey, hi, how are you all doing? I know it's been over a month since I've last uploaded, but I am finally back. But in my absence, a few games have come out that I've put on a list to make videos of. Though to be honest, I'm not sure when exactly I'll get to those, but at least they are there. Also, while I've been gone, we hit 1K subscribers, which I honestly thought would never happen. Whenever I hit 100 subs a few months ago, I thought that was it. I just hit my peak. And now here I am sitting with 1K subs, and doing so without even uploading. But I think what's even more crazy is that most of you guys are coming from my Turok videos, which are still constantly getting big views even now. So to all of you who subbed, whether it's from the Turok videos or some of my other videos, thank you all. And to those of you who did sub for my Turok videos, I know you're going to like this video also. And to be honest, I'm quite excited to talk about the game myself. So let's go ahead and talk about it. So, DINO TRAUMA at first glance on the Steam store paints this game as a fast-paced boomer shooter with dinosaurs in it as its main plot point. And I'm gonna be quite honest with you, the game store doesn't portray the actual game itself well. Before I played it myself, I too thought this game was going to be something akin to the original Turok game or like Doom/Quake, when in reality it's actually far from it. Instead, what you actually get is a game that combines the boomer shooter mechanics and puts them into a horror shooter with puzzle-solving mechanics that you see in RE games and Dino Crisis, which you can tell this game takes heavy inspiration from, along with some Jurassic Park here and there. And where it takes inspiration from the RE games, Jurassic Park and Dino Crisis, besides the horror elements in the story, as I mentioned, the game has puzzles and colored key cards that you have to use to matching colors to unlock doors and lockers, to progress the levels and get access to loot. And to even further hint this, they even have a shooting range in a few of the levels that you can participate in and earn points. But where these guys deviate and add their own style is by making multiple levels that have replay value by replaying them and getting points from killing dinosaurs and looting, to then come back to your trailer and choose to either level up or purchase equipment to help improve your runs or give your weapons modifications. And there's a surprising amount of items for you to buy, so I won't spoil what's good and let you figure out that for yourself. And as for the levels, in total there are 8 levels, 1 arena level, and 1 that is still a work in progress. And each level is probably going to take about 20 minutes each to complete on your first go. And as I mentioned earlier, you will be replaying these levels to farm more points and open crates that you may have missed or just couldn't unlock when you first ran through these levels. Also, something I did not realize till later in the game is that when you buy those badges, you can swap them out in your inventory mid-run. I thought you had to do that shit back in the trailer, but I guess not. And this applies to all of the equipment you buy too. So if you do end up playing this, make sure you don't forget that and make the same mistake I did. But the levels themselves are honestly pretty good except for level 2. Now I don't mean like the level itself is bad, but just in terms of replayability, it wasn't very good for that. The level layout just felt a little more confusing than what it should have been, and there was a puzzle in the level that you had to solve, and unless maybe I just missed where the hint was, but there was no indication, at least I could find, to solve this puzzle. And I didn't even know it was a puzzle until I just started clicking on stuff and it eventually opened a door. So that might have been a slight oversight in the level design, I'm not totally sure, but it was just kind of eh. Definitely my least favorite level out of the rest of them, though I won't lie, a few of the levels felt like they had these bullshit dino spawns that just felt like they were cheap. Level 5 and 6 were very guilty of this. You would enter a room or complete an objective and the game would spawn swarms of the little compies, raptors, or dilos. One level I really loved though was level 3, and the reason I love this level so much is because it gave me massive JP3 vibes when you're going through these chain link catwalks that are covered in thick fog. This level really adds on to the horror vibes that this game delivers. But for the most part, the levels were really good, but for one exception. But I really did have a lot of fun looking around the environment and looking for hidden levers and buttons and brainstorming to figure out how to open doors and get to certain areas to get those key cards. And this game also has secrets hidden throughout each level. And I'm not gonna lie, these secrets were pretty well hidden. I won't spoil where these secrets are and how to get to them, but just know once you find your first secret, you'll get better at finding more. But with all that said, what exactly is the story of this game though? You've heard me say that this game takes inspiration from a lot of different video games and so on, and well, that's exactly what the story is to this game. Though the story mostly takes inspiration from Jurassic Park and Dino Crisis. And how it takes inspiration from these two fictional universes is there is this genomic company called Genomza, and Genomza has developed a piece of technology called the Einstein machine. And if I'm interpreting it correctly, this machine works in the same way how InGen was able to bring dinosaurs back to life with their computers and genomic splicing techniques. And where it gets Dino Crisis-y is you are this person that infiltrates this genomics company that resides somewhere in Europe, and you go through this whole facility and uncover what happened to the downfall of this company. And all the story is told through well-designed environmental design and these phone logs left behind by the people who ran this place. And though this has no relation to the story, there are also these tape cassettes in each levels that play small portions of old school movies, which I found really cool. But the game doesn't spew any exposition into your face and bore you with mundane details, and instead lets you consume bits and pieces of the story to your own leisure. There is a woman that talks to you over comms, but the game has no voice acting, so if you do care what she has to say, you will have to stand there and read the text on the screen. But I really do like that the game doesn't push the story in your face and doesn't require you to read those logs to really know what's going on. And as I said, the game has pretty decent environmental storytelling for an indie game and does a really good job at showing what's happening rather than you having to read or listen to someone tell you what's going on. And honestly, if you're an indie dev, I highly recommend you pay attention to what this game is doing with its environmental storytelling. So then, the story and setting are fairly intriguing, but how's the gameplay most importantly? As I mentioned near the beginning, the store page doesn't really show how the game really looks and plays once you get your hands on it. And don't get me wrong, you can definitely feel and see the boomer shooter elements, but honestly this game feels more like a horror FPS puzzle game. And that's mainly because that's what you're going to be doing. Shooting dinosaurs and getting your bridges spooked and solving puzzles. And I'm gonna be straight with you, I actually liked more of the real game than what was originally shown on the store page. The limited visibility from the fog, the spooky ambience and music and the dinosaurs coming out of a corner behind you really does keep you on edge for every minute you play. And the only sense of comfort you get is when you're either at your trailer or in the shooting range. And speaking of shooting, the weapons are fairly satisfying to use despite how simple they are, and the pistol, shotgun, and laser gun being the best guns to use overall. Though I won't lie, I do kind of wish there were a bit more weapon varieties. And I mean, sure, 6 weapons, if you exclude the grenade, is acceptable, but I do just kind of wish I could perhaps replace the crossbow with like a rifle or something. Which, by the way, the crossbow is the weakest weapon in the game in my opinion, or at least from what I've tested. Unless the upgrades for the crossbow do make it better, not totally sure, but base crossbow isn't my weapon of choice. The pistol, shotgun, submachine gun, and the laser weapon were the main weapons I used. And the cattle prod is only useful for the compies and the little rats that attack you in the vents. But as for right now, the game isn't fully complete. Episode 1 is the only episode available right now, with 2 more episodes planned in the future, and 1 final level in the works currently in episode 1. I'm not exactly sure what the workflow is on these levels, but the game came out 3 months ago as I'm writing this. So if they are somewhat consistent, then I would expect an episode at least nearly half a year or so. It's also not a very pricey game, only sitting at 13 USD. If you want to use a stupid metric that a game should at minimum cost how many hours you get out of it, then I very much got my money's worth, with me having nearly 13 hours in the game. So do with what you will with that information. You know, I normally don't like to explicitly say whether or not you should buy a game, but I will usually make a few exceptions, especially if it's an indie game, and an indie game worth your time and money. And this game is most certainly one of those exceptions. Granted, of course, just as with anything whenever it comes to games, this game will not be for everyone. But if you're like me and love good dinosaur games, and good dinosaur horror games at that, then you will like this game. I would even go as far as to call this game a hidden gem. It is sadly overlooked and underrated, whether it be because of the art style or just the type of game it is, It's just so sad that this game didn't get as much attention as it should have. So hopefully with this video, I can bring out this game to more people out there who are willing to give this game a shot, especially if you've been craving a decent dinosaur horror game. So hopefully I've convinced you to give this game a try. If not, hopefully I can at least deliver you a decent video that you somewhat enjoyed and maybe keep this game on your future radar. So with all that said, thank you all for watching. I do want to apologize for being absent for over a month, but busy schedules, having time with friends, and just personal emotional exhaustion put me behind on making videos. But hopefully I can finally catch up on videos I've been wanting to make. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I shall see you when the next video drops.